Hello, good evening to you. Welcome to another edition of Business Focus, your business-oriented one-hour discussion program here on TV3. And tonight, we're engaging one particular topic, which in the next 9 days, all other things being equal, the Ghana Revenue Authority intends to roll out the tax stamps. But it has its own concerns. The manufacturers and local producers in this country have raised some issues with this particular decision by the GRA. We'll get into that as we go on the show tonight. Also, test the state of the currency and the commodities market and also the stock market details we'll bring to you as we get into that particular segment. Our mover for tonight would also excite you. There's no reason to miss out on that one. My name is Alfred Okanse. Welcome to Business Focus. Let's find out the business stories that made headlines throughout the week. Welcome back to Business Focus. Now, the government of Ghana in December 2012 entered into an agreement with Authentics Incorporated of the USA for the supply of tax stamps, tax stamp applicator, and consultancy services for tracking of accessible goods sold in Ghana. Following that, Parliament in 2013 ratified the agreement with Authentics, and an excise stamp bill was introduced and passed as Excise Stamp Act 2013, Act 873. After receiving presidential assent in January 2014, the law came into force. There's been concerns. While government insists on rolling out that particular policy beginning March 1 to check tax evasion, amongst other things, the manufacturers have raised some concerns. And tonight, we'll have a discussion 9 days ahead of that proposed rolling out of the tax stamp. I've been joined in studio by Kwabena Appel, Enuya Anto, Ewua Anto, I beg your pardon, Kwabena Appel Ewua Anto, who is the Chief Revenue Officer at the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, and also Samson Asaki Awingobit, Executive Secretary, Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana, and Joseph Paddy, who's a Public Relations Officer at the Ghana Union Trade Association, GUTA. Gentlemen, good evening to you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good now, for having us.
The thing is clear, and so I'm going to start off with you, Mr. Awingobit, because the GRA has made its position extremely clear that they intend to go ahead March 1 to implement this particular tax stamp. And as a matter of fact, they've indicated that they're going to prosecute any business that does not comply. What are your concerns about this particular tax stamp?
Well, thank you very much. Quite clearly, let me use the opportunity to greet your cherished viewers nationwide, and also with one of my sisters who's celebrating the birthday today, Patience in Asama Zenu. A happy birthday. I must say that the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana has been speaking on so many issues in the country. And I want government, and for that matter, by extension, Mr. Ampe was sitting here, to be honest, that sometimes when they have a policy that are very good, that makes business expand and grow, we always support them. If you have a policy that is to the benefit of the nation, we always support them. of course, as a critic, as an advocacy institute, we don't just criticize. Sometimes we give alternative.
Right.
And so when you come to tax stamp issue, we said, what did we say about tax stamp? We are saying that currently, as it stands now, and you and I are very much aware that His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, and his team, I'm talking about his cabinet ministers, promise Ghanaians that they want to make Ghana an industrialization. They want to make sure that they create the enable environment for industries to grow.
True.
Asking an industry to go and cough 500,000 Ghana cedis to go and buy tax stamp to come and fix in their manufacturing and collect just for the purpose of accounting. We think that
this $500,000 you're mentioning, is it what does it consist of?
500,000 Ghana cedis.
500,000.
If you want me to give you a figure, if you want me to give you in figures in dollar terms, I can give you a figure. 1 unit of it, if it's no cost at all, it's about 300,000 USD.
You mean the cost of the machine?
Just one machine.
The machine that's going to be used to affix.
If ABL or if Casapreco or if Coca-Cola or if Pepsi would have to buy, and some of these factories are running into like 5 lines of production. Now you are asking them to go and cough $300,000 for each machine, multiplied by 5. That is a huge sums of money. If I were to be government, I would ask manufacturers
like $1.5 million.
Invest into your production and employ the team youth out there. Asking, and we are saying that tax stamps will be on carbonated drinks, bottled water, and whatever that you talk about. We said that we will support government. If you go to Kenya, and I'm sure Ampe is sitting here, in Kenya, they started like this. They started what government wanted to do. Within 6 to 1 year, they couldn't even make the needed revenue that they wanted to make. So they went back to the drawing board. They said, no, they have to do it on luxurious things. So we have been saying that tax stamp can be done on alcoholic beverage that have a higher percentage, like 5 and above, or even 10% and above, whiskey, spirit, wine, cigarette, tobacco products. We say that we will support government to do tax stamp on this. To drink canned drink after your program here, if you step out of your security gate and you go across the street to the lady sitting there selling the water, for you to buy a bottled water to drink or to buy a can you can drink, it cannot be luxurious. It's a necessity. And so these are some of the reasons why we said that no. Indeed, as we speak, we are talking about we are talking about 9 days to come. If you ask Mr. Ampao that what has happened, if it's about tax leakages, if it's about invading, if it's about smuggling, what has happened to tax stamp machines in our borders? Access Afla, what has been done there? Access Elubo, what has been done there? Access Sampa, what has been done there? Ask them in my hometown, Boku, Pakabaria, what has been done there?
Okay.
So it is total. If as we speak now, if GRA would come out to stick their neck and broad chest and knock, they can only tell a tax stamp machine has fixed only in Tema. Even in Tema, it's just.
Are you sure it's only in Tema?
I'm saying that
because from my checks, it is not only in Tema.
I can tell you,
and that I can say on authority.
The whole Accra. You can even take Tema Port.
No.
Hold on. I can tell you the whole Tema Port. It is at Tema. It is at Tema. The whole Tema Port. Do you know the volume of content that comes out from Tema Port? Yes, one can be done at Accra Port. Fine, but I'm asking if it's about smuggling, Mr. Okansi. What work have they done at the borders? We have not gone there.
No, but then I get your point.
On record,
I needed to
let me give you on record. On record, on record, GRA or through the Ministry of Finance acting because they are responsible to the Ministry of Finance. They took us there. The deputy minister invited us, and we went to Tema.
Okay,
for wherever you have information to, we don't have information.
Ms. Anto, I want to confirm this. At least we did our independent checks before the show this evening. Is it the case that it is only in Tema that this is? Because information that we gathered is that it's not only in Tema.
Exactly, not only in Tema.
Which area is it?
We have affixing facilities at Aflao, and it's operating now.
It's operating?
Yeah, you take your goods to Aflao now, and they'll be affixed with tax stamp for you if you are bringing goods from Aflao border.
Which part of Aflao?
The border.
You took us to Tema.
Okay, so, Ms. Anto, just hold on a bit. Ms. Anto, hold on.
This is where we are converted it to an affixing facility. Go to Akano. There is one there. Poglo, one there. Takrady, one there. Last Friday, I was at Elubo. So we are establishing affixing facilities across the country. It's not the case that it's only in Tema. And let me say this. we have one in Tema. But you see, what we have in mind when we were putting up these fixing facilities was to have a place for occasional importers. And that is why when it comes to imported products, we have 3 options available to them. 1, you can acquire the stamps here, take them outside for the stamps to be affixed on the products before they come to Ghana.
Okay.
2, you can do your own affixing in your own facility. And as I speak to you, the Stel Ghana Limited, importers of Savannah and Hunters, they have been authorized by the Commissioner General of GRA to do their own affixing, and they are doing that. Guinness Ghana Breweries Limited are doing their own affixing in their own warehouse.
That's why they bought it.
Hold on.
No,
I want us to have, you see, in the end, what I want to do with this program,
and
in the end, would have the listeners and the viewers, as a matter of fact, understand exactly what the situation is. Then we can move forward. But then, Mr. Ogun mentioned a bit about the cost. I want us to progress the discussion.
If I had, you would allow me to. So the 3 options are that 1, you can send the stamps outside. And as we speak, companies like British American Tobacco, BAT, Target Link, these companies are importers of tobacco products. They have acquired stamps, send them outside. The stamps have been provided free of charge for now. Send them outside. The stamps have been affixed to the products, and they are in the country. Already affixed. It is only occasional importers. And so anybody who wants to set up his own affixing facility, the Commissioner General will give the person the authority to do that. If you want to take the stamps outside, you will give the authorization to do that.
Okay.
And if you don't want to do any of these things, then by all means, you have to come to our affixing facility at the entry point. And that's what I said, we don't have only one entry facility.
No, I mean, that I can say for sure that we have done our own checks, we can confirm. I want to make the point. I want to progress into the cost element, okay? Because I remember speaking to the CEO of Kasapreko, Richard Ajay, who made the point that, I mean, they're not against this particular tax stamp, but they want a more cheaper and efficient way of going about this, so that if government has decided that in the first 6 months you're going to take up the cost, and then the next 6 months you take half of the cost, means that you appreciate the cost element. So if now you are leaving the companies to spend $300,000 to buy 1 unit of machine against, for example, Kasapreko that has many product lines, to have 1 machine each for each product line, which costs $300,000. What do you make about this particular cost issue that they are raising?
When we come to these costs, it's an area that sometimes I feel very uncomfortable. Because Mr. Saki here, he has sat in a lot of meetings with us. And we've seen that most of the product, it depends on where you are buying the machine from, where you are buying the machine from.
So just give me
because we have
a
provided
range.
them other options. Machines coming from Authentics, Labeler, they are also manufacturers of applicators.
What's the price for it?
You see, depending on the level of speed of your production lines, that will determine which machines that you should go for.
I can give a classic example.
So, Mr. Ngwebe, hold on a minute.
And so, for most of the companies, they may even be using handheld applicators. And that will not cost more than 50,000. Handheld applicators.
That's 50,000.
50,000.
But would that not slow the production process? Because that's one of the things that I've also heard them complain about. If you're using handheld, it will slow the process.
I'm saying that it's not every company that is going to use handheld. There are various applicators. I'm saying that for most of the slow lines, slow manufacturing lines, some of them even may not need even a machine at all. In fact, for those people who are now affixing the machines, they are doing manual affixing. They have hired people, remove the stamps, put it on it. Because the most important thing is to have the stamp on the product. You may not necessarily have to go for an equipment. And I'm saying that depending on the speed of your line, and Authentics has been engaging these companies, and they have provided them different, levels of prices, and it has not come to the $300,000 that Mr. Saki wants us to believe.
So you've mentioned handheld applicators costing $60,000.
No, I'm not saying
50,000.
I'm saying that it will not be up to.
It will not be up to 50,000.
It will not be up to. Some of them may be even 10,000, 20,000. So I'm saying that depending on what you want to go for, it's just like going for any machine.
But I'm sure that any company that is into manufacturing of fast-moving commodities and goods would not go in for anything that would slow the process.
I know a company that produce
down.
about 36. Let me give you a figure. I know a company that produce about 36,000 per an hour or 48,000 bottles per an hour. Such a, and then the role of the tax excise tax stamp that they have is about 10,000 in a row. So meaning every 15 minutes they will have to stop.
So it's a clear situation that it will slow the process down.
Yes,
and then I'll come to Mr. Padi.
Come out with even 20,000 real stamps. You know, previously we had reels with 10,000 stamps. Currently we have stamps.
So we push the go back account.
But you see, when we focus so much on the cost, sometimes you lose the essence of the program.
But you see, in my case, I'm speaking from the consumer's perspective. Anything that goes into the cost of production, that increases the cost of production, a manufacturer who is in business would definitely pass it on to the final consumer in terms of price increment.
And that is fantastic. Because anything that also leads to losing revenue by the manufacturer.
These companies are tax compliance. These companies are all tax compliance.
You see, there are instances that people invest in equipment to set up factories and people pirate on their products. And as a result of that, they cannot sell the amount of products that they want to sell. What you then have to do is to distribute the cost of the equipment among fewer products. By introducing a policy like this, that will fight piracy, that will fight illicit trade, that will fight counterfeiting. You are rather encouraging people who are investing in these products.
And we said that. Hold on. And we said that they can use a system.
Hold on.
No, we said that they can use a system.
I want to listen to you.
Without buying this,
the two of you are talking. I cannot hear anything that both of you say.
If you can allow us to.
Can I come in here? I wanted to have a serene environment as we are doing the, and because we are educating the public, they must understand where we're coming from. Where I have a little challenge is that you are dealing with stakeholders. There must be collaboration. You look at most times when policy implementers and policy enforcers just come and slap policy on people. You see, with this tax stamp issue we're talking about, there are more questions than answers.
What are the questions?
Yeah, for example, recent time, you know the way they package bottled water. So the bottled water is packaged in 12 packs. So I've imported bottled water into the country. Now I'm supposed to fix a stamp on it. So I'm going to open the seal and then fix all the tax stamp, then cover it. When I bring that water to really buy it, it's be tampered with. So these are some of the challenges we're looking for, because you have to open the seal. For example, if you import, let's say, a black label to the country, you have to fix a tax stamp. You open the box, then fix it. You have opened the seal. And once it's tampered with, a consumer will not buy that commodity. So these are some of the few things and the challenges. And then what this tax stamp seems to achieve, I'm seeing it from revenue aspect more than a protective aspect. Because if you are going to protect, because we say if there are high-risk commodity line of goods, then let's start with like tobacco, like the alcoholic beverage that have highest percentage of alcohol in them. Let's start with those lines, so that we say, because from where I come from Guta level, my constituency, those who import those who do consolidation. The smaller packages, those who do consolidation, they are going to queue for this line. You know, and then we also let's think about manufacturers, where we all of us want to go, and we are drumming home that we all should go into manufacturing. Now we import, and now we say cost of doing business in the country is already high, and then you are coming to slap another layer of cost on doing business, which already we've been complaining. We are asking government to even scale down or prune down even the cost of doing business. The rate of import is also high. So if you are going to add on to cost of doing business, it's a little, what we have seen is that most time when people are looking for revenue, they turn their eyes to the port. It's everybody want to come to the port and make the businessman. Because cost of doing business at the rate of 50%.
But it is also clear that the level of leakage at the port in terms of revenue is high. We cannot run away from that. And so if there's anything, no, hold on.
Yes.
That is a fact that you cannot contend with. Okay, so if there's anything that will be put in place for us as a country to get the needed revenue due us from whatever point of entry,
I will go for that. So
that
you think tax stamp will achieve that purpose?
It will.
Mr. Anto says it will.
You see,
What about paperless?
What
about paperless?
Hold
It
on.
will. And it is.
So-
It is.
Conclude on the point.
Yes.
I want to conclude on the point, and I'm going to come to
yes.
Mr. Awingo
You see,
Bede.
see, the questions that we're asking of that, now you are asking companies to reconfigure their production line. Now times comes in. So with all this one, like you said, product coming out will be expensive for consumers. Already consumers' purchasing power is nothing to write home about. And to where we sit, we don't think that one will stop the leakages. There are other alternatives.
So
that
you know there are leakages. What will stop the leakage?
What will stop the leakages?
Yes, you.
Yes, let's government reduce the rate, duty rate.
Is to reduce the duty
The
rate.
duty rate, because if you import like 100,000 worth of goods, we are paying about 50% of duty on CIF value. So we are paying about 50,000 on duty. So if the rate is high, you create environment for people to do the wrong thing. So reduce the duty rate you are giving to the people is extremely high. And it's difficult for any businessman to pay that rate of 51%, 50%, and even break even or make even margin.
You see,
so these are some of the challenges.
I've had people argue this way, and I keep saying that there hasn't been any proven fact that when you reduce taxes, people will actually pay. No. You know.
So you keep on increasing that people will not pay.
I'm not saying. I'm only telling you that a reduction in tax is not synonymous to people paying taxes.
A reduction in tax and putting the measures in place, putting the structures in place.
And these are the measures.
So we think this tax stamp business is where we sit, revenue mobilization is good for the country. Why not? But then you don't add another cost of doing business onto production line and onto businessmen, because we are seeing cost of doing business in the country is extremely high. Now we are losing business to our neighboring countries, and we are not worried about that, and we are worried about this leakage, so-called leakage they call, and there's no scientific proof, there's no even statistics that truly with the coming of tax stamp all these leakages will stop. That's the challenge.
Ms. Anto, there are some legitimate concerns, right? Yeah. Okay, because for me, when whoever is watching who may not be in business directly, obviously it's a patron or a consumer of any other manufacturer's goods. So the ripple effect of this will be that all other things being equal, prices of goods that are sold by these manufacturers will go high. And if you are focused on generating revenue and not focusing on the impact it would have on the consumer, it's a bit problematic. What kind of engagement have you had with these stakeholders up until this moment that we are 9 days away from implementing this particular policy? And they still have these concerns.
Let me say that it is because of the consumer, the protection of the consumer. That is why we are introducing this program. Because the consumer is not protected, because manufacturers and importers themselves are not protected, and that there is illicit trade, there is smuggling, and that is why they are buying certain products at the price that they are buying them now. I'm saying that if we succeed in achieving compliance, prices will rather go down, because people are going to sell more, volumes are going to increase. Illicit trade, people who are smuggling in these goods are not going to have it easy selling on the market. Rather, those people who are doing genuine business are going to take advantage of this, and this is going to reduce the prices of products, and consumers are rather going to benefit. We lose sight of the harmful nature of some of these products that are smuggled in, harmful nature of products that are produced in conditions that are not acceptable, people pirating on other people's products, the health implication of this. Look at a product like tobacco. Sometimes it's not only
we have endorsed it for you.
No, yes.
We've told you that you can do tax stamp on certain commodity.
Yes.
Not that we are throwing the whole thing down out. And we are also giving you solutions. We are saying that You can do you want to tell me that if for the purpose of accounting, Mr. Ampewu, you cannot get an IT company in Ghana to develop a software that can be distributed to these manufacturing companies for them to computerize it into their system, because mind you, every production line is computerized. Yeah. So at the end of the month, GRA can just walk in there to know how many bottles they produce in a month and call your tax accordingly.
But another
asking
side
another
side of that
to go and
is
spend
that
hold on. I want to listen to one at a time.
Another side of that
gentlemen, hold on.
Asking a manufacturer to spend that whooping amount of money to go and buy. And I'm sure I was happy that you went to Casapreco. Were you able to ask them how many production lines they have there and how many bottles they produce per an hour? They would have tell you. So again, let me tell you, do you know what's happening?
I want to make
Authentic is going to make, let me show you something. With this contract, Authentic, Ghana government is going to give Authentic 11,790,000 per year for 5 years.
For what?
As well as 982.
For what?
$500
for what?
every month.
For what?
No.
For the visa payment to be delivered.
For what?
It is on your contract. It is
no.
there.
For what?
That is the contract. That is the amount of money government of Ghana will be given to Authentic.
He's asking exactly what we are paying for.
He knows.
No, you know. I'm sure
you have a contract with Authentic. Don't you?
Yes, we do.
This one I pulled it from your website.
Hold on.
You are paying. I'll read it for you.
That's a discharge.
And there is no benefit to that.
What is the benefit?
The benefit is that I'm saying that we are protecting people's business.
You
don't know how people are suffering.
And I just told you a few minutes ago.
As we speak, some importers are even saying that the stamp that we are going to provide people whose products are already on the market free of charge, we should rather ask them for their documents on the imported products before we give them the stamp.
We have
because
agreed.
They know
we told you that
are smuggling into goods and people are not paying.
So
it's happening all the other products involved.
Mr. Padi, thank you. I'm going to come to you, but then just for the benefit of our viewers to be able to have a connection with exactly what we're talking about, you're going to see on your screens right now a background to this whole conversation. See, the government of Ghana in December 2012 entered into an agreement with Authentics Incorporated, which Mr. Awengobi just mentioned, of the USA, for the supply of tax stamps, tax stamp applicator, and consultancy services for tracking of accessible goods sold in Ghana. Following that, Parliament in 2013 ratified the agreement with Authentics, and excise stamp bill was introduced and passed as Excise Stamp Act 2013 Act 873. After receiving presidential assent in January 2014, the law came into force. So there's clear legal backing to this. Exactly. And the bit of who bears the cost, Section 6.3 of the Act 873 states, the manufacturer or importer that requires the stamp shall be responsible for the cost of the excise stamp, but the cost may be subsidized as the minister may determine, unquote. So that's Section 6.3 of Act 873. So the companies would have to bear the cost of the machine that will be used to affix the stamp, the unit cost of which is said to be in excess of $300,000. That's one of the concerns that they have raised. So Section 8.2 of this same excise tax.
No. It's on your web. It is on
whatever I'm reading right now, Zanto, is something that I gleaned from your website. It's something that
the unit cost of the machine.
You didn't quote the unit cost.
I can give you Parliament is 533.
That is the point I'm saying. That 300,000.
You can walk right now. You can see it.
I don't know where it's coming from, because Authentics has given you alternatives that you can acquire the machines at a lower price.
Look,
when you get out from here, talk to Authentics, and the Minister for Finance, the Deputy Minister, Honorable Kwaku Kwarteng, has been even directing that Authentics to engage these manufacturers to lead them to where they can acquire the machines at an affordable price. You are talking about the price
when there's
of
breakdown the machine. Who will pay for the services?
The cost of the stamp, just as you rightly read from the law, it has to be borne by either the importer or the manufacturer.
Can you imagine that?
Let me add that. Nowhere in the world.
Just for government getting revenue.
Can this happen? Mr. Padi,
For government to
nowhere
get
in the world
Okay.
that the cost of tax stamp has been borne by the government. And as you speak,
By the machines?
for the first 6 months of the implementation of the
For the
program,
machine.
the government
Let's
is
talk
going
about
to
the
bear
machines.
I
the
think
full
that
cost
I
of
put
the
that out.
stamp.
I put that out. Mr. Paddy.
Let's talk about the machines.
I asked a legitimate question. Can you answer me before we proceed?
Yeah.
I asked that when I bring my goods to the port and I'm supposed to affix all this tax stamp on my product, and I have about maybe 200 bottled water in a box.
Yeah.
I have to open the seal and fix all the stamp and repack it, offload
And that's what they
unload.
say. When we went there, that was
And
what
let
they
me say
showed us.
that. And that is
So,
why I said that
yes.
we have 3 options available
Yes.
to
Okay.
importers.
Yes.
BAT that has acquired stamp from us and send them to Nigeria. With products coming in already stamped, they don't have to open them.
So I take
Target
the-
link.
hold on.
No,
I
let
take-
me
I take the
address
stamp-
that.
I take the stamp
Let me-
to the manufacturer.
That is it.
Okay.
Okay.
Target link that has acquired stamps from GRA, send them to Vietnam, are fixed on products that are already here. Nobody is going to open them. And as I said,
Do you know they can even buy and
Mr.
send it to a
Wingobi,
manufacturer and they
hold on a
refuse?
minute.
They said no, they cannot fix your this thing
Thank you.
onto their machines. It's
you see-
possible.
You see,
It's
if
possible.
many of these companies, before they procure the stamp that they were sent outside, got samples of the rigs and sent them outside for trials. And that is what every businessman has to do. And they worked on the machines. The stamps are fixing. They acquired the proper machines, equipment, and now they are working. And as I speak to you, go to the port and inquire from these companies that I have mentioned.
I see.
Whether
Mr.
they don't have stamped products already on the market.
Ms. Anto, over the period, not too distant past, let's say a year under review, we've had a number of policies or, would I say, interventions by the GRA, which has been either resisted in the initial stages by the stakeholders, or because of lack of proper consultation
And collaboration. There's no collaboration.
and collaboration. Okay, so I mean, you're going to roll out this in 9 days.
Elubo and that he's talking about, we have not been there. But you took us to Tamaport.
Ms. Anto, what level of engagement
We have not been there.
have you had with the stakeholders so that you can all be on board?
Yes, let us all
And
go.
better
We want to go and see what is happening at Ilobo. We want to see what is happening at where you went again.
Hold on,
Sorry.
I asked
We
a
want to
question.
go. We haven't
Sorry.
seen that. We have
Sorry.
seen
Okay.
Tema. We
Mr.
haven't
Asaki
seen the
here
rest.
has been on our committee since 2014. Ask him.
And we
What
raise the
have you been
issues.
doing?
I raise the issues.
The number of times that we have met on this program.
Bring the
Mr.
minute.
Pak-
I raise
Asaki,
these
no.
salient issues.
You raise issues, we go, we handle them.
You see that it's all 10,000.
We
Now
raise
they move to
issues.
50,000. You get it.
Which one?
So you handle the issues that they raise.
Yes,
Not properly.
even irrespective of the price of the stamp. Earlier, we agreed that we're going to spread the cost 50-50. Now the government says take it free of
Master,
charge
if
for
you are
the
to be
first
a
6 months.
manufacturer,
Okay.
The second
and government
half
one is
of the
holding
year,
you, and government saying that go
Mr. Wingobi.
go and spend
Okay.
$1 million to buy tax
Kasapreko
Okay,
is
gentlemen.
fighting people who are pirating on their product.
Of course, yes, I agree.
And this
So-
is what
and that was
they
said-
are
we said
coming to
alcoholic
address.
beverage
And that is how they
higher
have to
value.
look at
Mr.
it.
Ngobit.
You give me an alternative.
Ms. Anto, hold
me,
on. Let me
that
say
is how
something
they
to
have
Mr.
to look
Ngobit.
at it.
Mr. Ngobit,
Yeah.
the one thing I want you to do is that if you want the viewers to hear your concern,
Yeah.
it's better you let Mr. Anto finish and then you speak.
Mr. Anto,
If you
the
are
floor is yours.
talking, hold on a minute. If you are talking when he is, you're not making any impact in terms of your objective of letting people understand your position on this. So be quiet and let him speak. I'll get to you.
No problem.
As for engagement, I can say that this is one project that we have probably engaged stakeholders for the longest time.
So why these disagreements?
As I said, you bring in one issue, the cost. We talked about them. The implementation time. Sometimes they will tell us that we are not ready. The time is not convenient, and we shift it. And these things we have taken steps. And as I said, the Commissioner General of GRA, all the commissioners, the deputy commissioners, the Minister of Finance, the deputy minister, as for Honorable Kwaku Kwarteng, every meeting he sits in to address their concerns. So if you say that we have not engaged, you are not speaking to the facts.
So you're going to
And
go
Mr.
ahead.
Asaki here, as I said, since 2014, we have been engaging.
So you go ahead. March 1. You
Yes.
go ahead. Finally.
What I said is that I have not said you haven't engaged us. I think it was my friend from Guta. Then I raised an issue that we kept on raising very important points. And that is why when I was talking about 10,000, you say you moved to 50,000. But let's ask yourself that the government that says that you want to interest, right? You are asking a company to spend so much of this money to go and build someone's economy. It doesn't make sense. And we are even proposing that we have agreed, we have endorsed tax stamp, but it should be on certain commodity that we see it to be dangerous.
Mr. Paddy, let me say. So what do you want?
What we want, government wants to throw money away and give it to a foreign company.
That's what we see. That's what we see. That's what we see. We think cost of doing business is already high in the system, in the country, and bringing another cost is not accepted, not unacceptable. Already traders are complaining, and you are bringing another cost to doing business, which is not healthy. And so we think they should halt it. And this stakeholder collaboration they are talking about, we must come to collaborate and let's agree and understand and come to a meeting point. But there's no meeting point. And you want to impose things. When there's no input, we didn't make any much input. If there was so much
input. You agree in principle there has to be a tax stamp.
As for that, perfect.
We get the alternative. We are talking about cost for the equipment and the program as a whole. But let me add that. Let me add that. If you think about some of the products, what is the cost of consuming tobacco products to the nation? What is the cost of spending
in the next 9 days?
What is the cost of
know the status of this particular?
We have not even been eligible to see what is there.
Thank you very much. Kwabena Appel Ewua Anto is the Chief Revenue Officer at the Ghana Revenue Authority. Joseph Paddy, Public Relations Officer of Ghana Union of Traders Association, Guta. Samson Asaki Awingobit, Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana, to join me in the first part of this discussion. We'll be back shortly after this break. Do stay. Welcome back to Business Focus. We'll get into our move-up segment for tonight. Nazir Idris is the founder and team leader of African Express Limited. We paid a visit to his company and to him to actually find out how he began, just to inspire lots of young entrepreneurs out there.
Good evening and welcome to the Mover segment on Business Focus. I'm Eben Ejekumbuatin. Street delivery of packages and mails could be a challenge in cities such as Accra and Kumasi. This evening, I'm privileged to be talking to someone who makes delivery efficient and effective. I have with me the founder and team leader of African Express Limited, located off the Kanda Highway, Mr. Nasiru Idris. Welcome to Business Focus.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. How is the courier service treating you?
Okay, the courier service industry, I keep saying, is a very, very big industry because there are stages. We have the international, multinational ones, we have the indigenous ones. Even the indigenous one, we have the local, that's inter-districts, and we have the national ones.
So what were you doing before you decided to enter into the courier business?
Okay, actually, I read chemistry at UDS, University for Development Studies. And after I did a service as Ghana Atomic Energy Commission. After the service, because of the embargo on employment, I went around looking for employment from private sector. I wrote letters, trying to locate the places to send a letter was very, very difficult challenge for me. And moving from one place to another, it was also very difficult. For that matter, I was, okay, can there be a solution where we can have a quick delivery, where you can have, within 1 hour, you are able to deliver all these 10 letters and other things. Then I did, okay, I can use a motorbike to be able to do it. I was already having 1,000 Ghana cedis, of which I used to buy a motorbike. And I used it to do the deliveries. As I was doing it, I said, wow, this could be an opportunity. Then I collected letters from my colleagues who also want to deliver their letters, their application letters. And
where did you get the 1,000 cedis from?
From my savings, national service.
National service savings.
Yes.
You were saying you found an opportunity in the challenge by way of you sending letters out to look for jobs. You have a chemistry background.
Yes.
So why didn't you try to stay at the Atomic Commission?
Because of the embargo, because I did try because after our service, we asked to leave our CVs and go out there. But they said they can't assure us. And you know, as a young graduate, you have a family to take care of. Your parents have invested in you after your education. You're thinking about how best you can also help your siblings to go to school. For that matter, you can't just keep waiting till they call you. I have to send letters out. And you know, Accra is very congested community, I would say, town. And for that matter, moving through, if you're going to board a taxi or trotro, it will take you about 3 hours, 4 hours. You're not even done with about 2 or 3 letters within Accra.
How many years have you been in existence?
We've been operating since 2015.
2015.
So dates.
Right. And how many workers do you have?
Currently, we have 7 workers, 7 dispatch, but we have 3 officers who are working, so in all it's 10.
And what's your operational hours like?
Our operational hours, we do 24 hours delivery, but specifically we have the office time hours, where, because most of the clients do deliveries within 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, in between these hours. So for corporate persons like graphics who want us to come and work with them at night, we assign a dispatch for you. So you will determine when you want the dispatch to be able to work for you.
So who are your targets and what's the coverage area?
Our targets are the corporate persons and institutions. Corporate persons, I'm talking about those who are in the banks, who are stuck behind a PC, they can't wake up. They want to buy something in town. They want to deliver a package. And corporate institutions like the banks, insurance company, food vendors, restaurants, specifically SMEs, because we realize that is a bigger niche where it's not being tapped. So we help them, we complement their value chain by helping them to meet their supply chain demand.
In staff selection, do you do any background check? Because you're dealing with food, you're dealing with documents, some of which may be tagged as confidential.
Yes. What we do is when you bring your appointment letter, what we do is we do a police background check, clearance check from the police CID department. And moreover, before we give you employment, you have to bring 2 guarantors who are of well repute. So we call them, we know where you are, they make the background, they can stand for you. So when something happens, they're held liable.
And let's take a look at the competition. You have a lot of delivery services around. How do you manage and beat the competition?
For us at African Express, what we do is that we do door-to-door delivery, effective door-to-door delivery. If you do the market segmentation, you realize that although there are a lot of courier companies, but specific segments are not saturated.
How has the NEMA environment impacted this business?
Actually, the NEMA environment really, it was the form of motivation. Because I grew from NEMA, I see people, their aim is just to travel abroad, go in a hustle. They are the people that are regarded and respected within the community. So we, those who are educated, should have to set the pedestal. And that's the only way, because when you are able to get a well-paid job, that's when you can prove to the community that this education I did has helped me.
How do you feel in hiring and firing people? Or do you give second chances?
In hiring, you know, with service industry, I keep saying that it's intangible. You can't touch a service. And for that matter, since you can't touch a service, your delivery agent or dispatch, he defines who you are. Before you go to the field, we have to organize a training for you. This is what you do, this is what you don't do. We have an employment contract agreement. For second chances, because most of our clients don't give us second chances. Although we won, but there are some number of, when we pick you, you go on probation. After the probation, then you are qualified to be a staff.
All right, so that's Nazir Idris, founder and team leader, African Express Limited. We're going to bring you the second part of that mover engagement next week. And this is our own small way of encouraging young entrepreneurs to get to know, those of you who have ideas as well, to be inspired that it is possible because others are doing it. We're back shortly with some analysis on the stock market and the currency and commodities market as well. Do stay. Welcome back to Business Focus. Eddie Namnetepe is the research analyst with First Bank. He joins us in studio. Makes finances look too beautiful. It's good to have you. Good evening to you. Good evening. Great. Now, I do know that the CD appreciated marginally last week against the major trading currencies. What's the situation this week?
Okay, so last week we saw the CD appreciate marginally against the dollar, like we saw the week before. The expectations of the Fed rate hikes has been dampened. We're seeing the dollar weakening against major trading currencies, and it's the same situation with the dollar. So for importers who have been very concerned about the situation of the CD, they're still very stable.
So they can relax and smile a bit.
Yes.
But how is it going to continue, at least by your own analysis, this appreciation against these major trading currencies?
Okay, so looking at the stance of the Federal Reserve, they are looking at increasing their Fed rate hikes, their federal rates marginally. They want to do it gradually, and that reduces the inflationary risk. So we expect the stability to continue at least towards the end of the first quarter into the next half, into the first half of the year.
I see. Now, the Bank of Ghana was not very happy, a bit concerned about the interest charged on loans still being on the high side compared to the fact that the three major factors that influence interest rates had gone down: the policy rate, interest rate on treasury bills, and also inflation rate. They were expecting a further reduction. Is it a legitimate expectation to have, considering what the banks have been facing as well, the non-performing loans and other related factors?
Looking at historical data, you realize that the interest on loans do not respond quickly to reduction in the monetary policy rates. Last year, that's in 2017, over the 12-month period, we saw a 550 basis point decline in the monetary policy rate. But looking at the decline we saw for the rates charged on the interest rates charged on loans, the reduction came to less than 200 basis points, and that is expected because the banks are taking on risk. They're in the business to make profits. So we have not really seen the rates they charge respond very quickly to changes in the monetary policy rates. So the Bank of Ghana is right because they reduced the rate with the expectation that it would, basis points, and we saw about half of that on the part of the banks. We saw about half of the reduction to customers. So it is expected they are taking on more risk, and historically has not really responded.
I see.
So
let's go to the commodities market now. How's it looking? Let's take oil, cocoa, and gold.
Okay. So last week I didn't have good news on the commodity side because the prices, all three commodities recorded a decline in price. But last week was a good week. All three commodities recorded an increase in price. For Brent, we saw about a 2% increase in the price of Brent. And Brent closed at $64 per barrel, which is about $1 up from the week earlier. Okay. And the reason this was accounted for by the weakening dollar, because the dollar weakened, for buyers who were demanding from in other commodities found it cheaper, so they could purchase more. But the increase in price we saw was tempered a bit by concerns about the increased U.S. production. U.S. is now producing, they are pumping about 10.27 million barrels a day, and it's even taking them ahead of Russia.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so those concerns tempered with the gains we saw. For gold, we also saw an increase of about 3%, and this was also, the dollar had a part to play with it. And with the weakened dollar, investors found it as a safe haven commodity, so they quickly moved in to hedge against losses.
Fantastic. Edinam, thank you very much for, as always, joining us, making it look very, very beautiful, the fact and where to invest your money. Thank you for spending your minutes with us here on Business Focus. On behalf of the rest of the team here at TV3, thank you. My name is Alfred Akansi. Do have a good evening.